Hello and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. Today we're looking at three proverbs that I think really belong together. They're in a cluster. It's Proverbs chapter 11 verses 24, 25, and 26. And here's what they say. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. People curse those who hoard their grain, but they bless the one who sells in a time of need. Let's read those through one more time, just to try to digest that. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. People curse those who hoard their grain, but they bless the one who sells in a time of need. This is really counterintuitive, isn't it? Give to get richer? You'd think that just by doing basic math, that concept would just be wrong. You know, if I have $10 and I keep all $10, then over time I have $10 plus interest. And if I have $10 and I give away $5 of it, then I have $5 plus just the interest on the $5 over time. Interestingly though, it doesn't come down to just basic math. It's a known principle, not just among those who follow Christ, but just in the financial realm in general, that some level of generosity and giving is an important part of building wealth. A few years ago, when my finances were in a mess I could not untangle on my own, I asked a friend who had been a financial advisor and is an accountant to help me sort them out. The first thing he said to me, before we even went to my income and expenses, before we even started to sort out how to pay my debt down, before we had done a thorough search of my resources, was that I needed to make sure I was tithing. He said, go home and take care of that today if you're not. Note here, a tithe is 10% of your income off the top before taxes. That was the first thing I was to do before we even did any research or work. So I looked it over and I found that I'd had raises since the last time I had figured my tithe, and so I had to make an adjustment to get it back to 10%. And over time, we did a lot of serious work to figure out my financial position and improve it, and I will be forever in debt to that friend who helped me untangle my mess. Over time, then, I've seen this. I can always afford to tithe, even when the numbers seem to indicate that I can't. Even more than that, I can generally afford to be generous beyond the 10% mark. It doesn't leave me worse off financially. God's ways are not our ways. When we hold our money so loosely, we're able to remember that it was all God's to start with. When we see our money as a tool for blessing and not the center of our security, then we're free to operate according to God's economy. For simplicity's sake, we're just going to memorize verse 24. So let's do that 3 times quickly to start to get it into our heads. Are you ready? Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. And again, give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. And one more time. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. That's all for now. I will see you next time, wise ones.